Well, hello everyone, Doug Thiel, President, AFT 1828. This short video will be a follow-up to the earlier email this morning because you can see in very large letters that we are at impasse. Now, impasse means that the district is submitted what they call their last and final offer. It had to do with Articles 3 and 4, which is salary and benefits, and therefore we are not in negotiations. They are immediately trying to transition us into mediation, which will be followed eventually by fact-finding. Now, the first thing I want to mention to you all is that we are preparing a faculty survey that's going to be sent out very soon to get your input, to hear your voice. And I want to be, excuse me, I want to be clear that we are not recommending the district acceptance of the district's last and final offer. Now, when you look at that, you might be saying to yourself, whoa, gee, it looks like a 10% raise. That's kind of dramatic. Well, it's not a good deal, folks. And it's not a good deal because literally, in order to achieve that kind of a raise, the district has robbed Paul to pay Peter. They've taken the money from, or the savings from the mandatory switch in health benefits and pushed that on the salary side in terms of total compensation. And even then, the numbers don't add up. It doesn't appear that all that money really is being shifted. But even if it were, that means that they're not including any new money. None of the, COLA or formula funding or any of the large amount of reserves that they have to increase the total compensation package. So it's not a good deal. Now, if you're a part-time faculty, and I'm a part-time faculty, you might think, well, I really don't benefit from health insurance, and I'm having trouble making ends meet. That looks pretty attractive. Well, once again, it's not a smart deal. One of the things that needs to happen with part-time faculty is advancements toward pro rata pay. In other words, to get equal pay for the amount of time you're in the classroom versus a full-time faculty. And one of the strategies for that AFT 1828 is pursuing is to get you an hour a week office hour. We're currently, you get 3 per class per semester. This is a very meager amount. So when you get the survey, obviously use your conscience to fill it out, express yourself, but please take a time to look at what's really in that last and final offer. I want to transition now into some of the things we can do and are going to implement. We had a speaker come down in September, Jim Mayer, that is a long-time respected labor leader who had some strategies for when you get to a place like we are at, and we anticipated based on how negotiations have been going that this might be the end result. And it energized faculty. It really, he's a good speaker and had good solid points to make. Then we scheduled on October 11th to have a strategic planning session to put those strategies into writing, and it was canceled because of the fires, and then it was rescheduled for November the 1st. And we had some faculty that showed up that were, I guess the best way to describe them, they were energized, they were impatient, they were frustrated, and possibly a little fearful. And they wanted to do things immediately. Well, we were constrained when we were in active negotiations on doing some of those things because by law, we can't do what I'm going to talk about in a second, work to rule, as long as we're in active negotiations because we'd be bargaining in bad faith. Well, we've turned that corner. So I'm announcing now that we are at work to rule. Now, we're advocating that as a union. What does that mean? Well, there's going to be a follow-up video to get in the weeds a little bit on that, but let me just give you the brief story. Work to rule means what it says. You work to the contract. So let's give an example. If you're full-time faculty, you have a 5-hour commitment a week to work on committees or other things that will benefit the college campus, and 87.5 hours a semester. Okay, do that, and no more. That means if you fulfill that obligation, you don't volunteer for extra work, like working on an accreditation committee or any other committee. In other words, you work to rule, and you're done working for free, you're being disvalued, even though I think it's fair to say that most full-time faculty work past their minimum obligations, and we got to stop that. Now, part-time faculty, you don't have that same kind of contract, but you still do extra stuff. You know, you get paid for your hours in your class, you get your small amount of office hours as it's currently contracted. Don't volunteer for any extra committee work or any extra uncompensated time. Those days are kind of over. We're not being treated right, and we need to take a stand, all of us. Now, having said that, I was reminded today by our grievance chair, B. Herrera, that faculty that are in the tenure review process are vulnerable. And yes, they are, because there is the fear that management would exploit that situation. So B. Herrera will be working to come up with a workshop very soon and announce it that will deal with that issue for untenured faculty. Okay? Let's go to instructor ad codes. Now, this is interesting because instructor ad codes was also mentioned by Jim Mayer. And one of the things about this is that you have total control over this. You have the discretion whether or not to add students to your class. Now, this is highly problematic. I mean, you have students approach you with their stories. I teach online. I get long emails about this. But we need to hold the line on this. As we should not be admitting any students with ad codes based on our discretion, because once again, we're already teaching. We're being exploited in terms of the class sizes, and we're not being treated right. And we're going to give out some examples of how to maybe talk to students about this and how to explain it if you have to do it by emails that will respect the student but also emphasize the challenge we face. Changes in media messaging. Now here's one. I was surprised that not all faculty knew this, but go to YouTube. Type in AFT 1828, and you're going to get all the messaging that we're sending out in our paid advertising. It's all there for you to view, for you to look at. And some of Michael Sheets' very interesting videos will also be there as well. Look, the messaging up till now has been touting the successes of our college campuses. Now, those successes and those awards and accolades were earned by faculty's hard work. The messaging is going to now transition into, well, then why are we at impasse? Why is that faculty producing these award-winning colleges struggling to get a fair and equitable contract? So that'll be the new messaging. Now, that leads me to my last point, which is the creation of a strike fund. And I think that speaks for itself. You saw this morning in the email that there's campus meetings this week. In those campus meetings, there's going to be these particular items discussed again and questions answered about them, as well as I previously mentioned, further videos. The messaging that we need to send to the Board of Trustees on the 12th is, why are we here? Why are we in impasse? How did we get here? It wasn't the union. The union was trying to do good faith bargaining, working hard to negotiate a contract in the way that it should be negotiated. And the district pushed us into this place, announced it, declared it, and really sabotage a lot of the processes that we were trying to work on, like investigating other health benefit plans to save money as well. Folks, we need a massive turnout on the 12th. We're going to have, I want you to be there at 6. We're going to have a generator so we can have some hot coffee. It might get a little chilly. We'll have food. We'll have lighting. We want to really create a presence, and that's not our only tactic. And this isn't the only things that we're going to do that I've announced tonight. We're going to continue to implement a lot of other strategies that we've agreed on that we will be rolling out as the days go forward. I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Please, at this point, make sure that you do read the emails that will be sent out and kind of pay attention to how this is unfolding. We need to stay unified. We need to be in solidarity. Thank you.